So, in my island update for this week and under the shade of a beach umbrella from over here on Alcudia Beach, I'm going to give you an update regarding the huge power outage that we experienced here in Spain last week, and I'm going to let you know about the possibility of it happening over here in Mallorca and how to best prepare and cope with it if it does happen. Plus, I have an update for you regarding the UK Blue Badge parking permits, and we're going to head over to Palma Port too. We're going to talk about the big cruise ships coming into Palma City this week and how to best prepare for your trip to Palma City in case you're going to go and do some sightseeing. And I have the all-important weather forecast for the week ahead. But we're going to start this video over here on Alcudia Beach. I'm keeping the sunglasses on because, as you know, the sand over here is very white, it's very bright, and I can't see a thing. So I need to refer to my notes. I'm keeping the glasses on. You won't be watching me squinting all the way through this island update. Now, I am bringing you a couple of updates from over here in Alcudia as the week goes on, so consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, if you want to catch those videos, and don't forget to enable that notifications bell. But first of all, let's wind the clock back to last week and just talking about that huge power cut that we had in Spain, in Portugal, and also in areas of France too. We were so lucky it didn't affect us to a great extent over here in Mallorca, and that's simply because we're very autonomous in the way that we get our electricity over here. We get our electricity from, I believe it's from a power cable actually that runs under the sea to the islands, and we have our own electric network too. So the biggest effect we had when we had this huge power outage on the peninsula, on the mainland of Spain, was that we had a few problems paying with our cards. The card readers were struggling to work, but they did actually work in the end. We also had problems with making phone calls, and our internet coverage was coming and going as well. And it's just as well there wasn't live streaming during that. But we weren't really affected, and no one on the island, as far as I'm aware, lost any power. But after this huge power outage, it's pretty safe to say as well that everyone's pretty worried that it's going to happen again. And in fact, there was an article in the newspaper over the weekend, I think it was in El Mundo newspaper, saying that something like over 90% of Spaniards are actually worried that it is going to happen again. And it's hardly surprising because just a couple of days after the power outage, when I went to my local Mercadona supermarket, items were flying off the shelves, and in particular going down the fresh water aisle as well. There's hardly a bottle left, so already people were starting to stock up. They're starting to make emergency preparations just in case it was going to happen again, even though Pedro Sanchez, the Prime Minister over here in Spain, has tried to assure us that it's not going to happen. But I don't think anyone really believes the politician, do they? So this is why I'm making this video as well, to just prepare you in case it happens again, and also to find out what to expect if it does happen too. So let's look at the likelihood of getting a power outage over here in Mallorca, and we just need to roll the clock back back to summer 2024. If you were over here on holiday, if you're staying over in Puerto Poyensa, if you're staying over here in Alcudia, you may well have experienced some power cuts, and I do believe quite a huge one took place actually. It affected around 1,000 electricity customers over in the Alcudia port area. Also affected some holidaymakers staying up in the Bellevue complex too. Comment below if you were affected by this as well, and let me know what happened and how long your power was out for. But we have had problems in the past, and I do believe that this was down to the electricity cable, the underwater electricity cable being damaged and that needing repair, and fingers crossed that repair has now been done. I don't actually know whether it has been or not, but suffice to say that last summer we did have a few problems with electricity in these areas. And don't forget too, during peak season, when we get a lot of holidaymakers over here, there's going to be a huge pressure on the electricity demand too. So if you are coming over here on holiday, just be really mindful that doing things like leaving air conditioning on in your private villa when you go out for the day, so you want to return to a nice cold villa, is going to have a really awful effect on the electricity supply here. If everyone does that kind of stuff, it's just going to bring problems for the summer as well. So try and minimise use of electricity if you're over here on the holiday, and let's just try and lessen the chance of having any kind of power outage. Also as well, I just have to say too that when we do get big thunderstorms over here and we do get a lot of rain, we do sometimes get power cuts too. I don't know why, it just happens. We get them over in the area I live in, which is over in Palma. You probably get them in other areas of the island too. So that's another case where we may get a power outage. Whether we get anything like we saw last Monday over in mainland Spain, I've got absolutely no idea. And I don't think they even know the real cause of that either. They believe it's something to do with a reliance upon renewable energy. Other people say it could be a cyber attack, but we don't know. And you know, it could happen again, whether it's a huge thunderstorm, whether it's problems with the underground cable up in Pollença or Alcudia, or whether it's to do with some kind of cyber attack. So how can you prepare for your holiday in Mallorca, and also how to best cope with it too? And I'm going to move on as well to talk about what to expect if it does happen. But first, how can you prepare if you're coming over here on holiday? Well, the first thing I'm going to say is if you do have accessibility issues, make sure you book yourself a ground floor hotel room or a ground floor apartment, because if the electric does go out, you won't be able to use the lifts and you won't be able to get up to your bedroom. So that is super important. Make sure you get that ground floor room. Also, my biggest piece of advice, and you would have read all about this as well following the power outage over on the mainland, make sure you bring over some cash. Don't just rely upon your credit card. Don't rely upon just paying with your mobile phone or your watch either. It's very, very handy to do that, but please don't rely upon that. And I think we've all realised the importance of cash, whether you're actually at home or you're coming over here on holiday. Bring a nice little selection of very small bills with you. So say of 5 to 10 euros, maybe a 20 euro note as well. And make sure that if you're out and about, whether you're coming to the beach, whether you're going out and about around the island, make sure you fold up some of those notes and take them with you. Maybe even just separate them from your main wallet as well. Maybe keep them about your person. If you've got jean shorts on like I have today, you know that little pocket on your jeans that no one ever uses, maybe just pop, say about like 30 euros in there, just in case of an emergency, because anyone carrying cash last Monday, well, they were the lucky ones in terms of finding food and getting something to drink or getting back to wherever it was that they were trying to get to. Also as well, bring a physical credit card with you, because if this power outage goes on and if your mobile phone loses power or your watch loses power and you can't actually pay, make sure you've got the physical credit card, because that's going to be as well a lot easier to pay for stuff. And because of this huge reliance we now have on smartphones, we're just forgetting the fundamentals of going out and paying for things. Don't forget too as well, restaurants also really appreciate cash as well, and carrying a bit of cash as well means that you can tip too. So just all in all, make sure you have a selection of cash with you, but do not take all of it out with you if you're going out for the day. Make sure you leave some back in your safe in your hotel room. Also, and this is really important, to make sure you bring out a really good power bank with you as well that allows a few full charges of your mobile phone. I am going to put a few recommended power banks into the Mallorca Under the Sun Amazon holiday shop. I'll drop a link to that below as well. I found one actually that does about 4 charges of a mobile phone, and it's got a built-in torch, so that should keep you going for a few days if you need it. Also, maybe pick up a handheld, either rechargeable or electrical fan, and you know that's also going to be really handy if you're going around on the buses or if the air conditioning is not working this summer as well. Make sure you've got a little fan with you as well that you can either plug into your phone or plug into your power bank to keep you cool when the temperatures really heat up over here. Also as well, make sure you've got a good bottle of mineral water from the shops as well. Keep that in your hotel room, because don't forget, and it's something that wasn't really talked about either, that if the power does go, it also means that water can't be pumped around unless hotels have their own generators. So at this point you may also want to ask your hotel if they have their own power generator. Some of them do, some of them don't, and if they don't, well, you may want to just get in a couple of bottles of water that you need to leave for an emergency during the duration of your stay. Okay, so what can you expect if the inevitable happens? What would happen if we had a power outage over here? Well, of course there'd be a rush on food in the shops, and I must say that the press coverage in the UK was actually quite scary. It made me quite scared about it. It's probably scared you as well, but there's so many shops over here. We've got spa shops, we've got big supermarkets. You know, obviously don't buy what you don't need. If you're over here for a few days, you're not going to be stocking up crazily, and of course if you're staying in a hotel, they're going to have some food supplies and water supplies, fingers crossed too. But also, I just want to say as well, if there is a power cut, the one thing you can expect is you're not going to be able to access the banks, and that means going into the banks, because over the winter I was up in Dare, I was getting my hair cut, and when it came to paying, my card wouldn't work, and the banking app was down. All the Visa payments as well from my bank as well were down on that day. I got back to Palma, I thought I'd just pop into the bank to see what's going on, because it's just down the road from where I lived. And as I walked up to the bank, I found it was locked, so I could see that there were people inside. I started shaking the door, and one of the bank personnel, I think it was the bank manager, came running up to the door, and he shouted through the door, he said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want to come in." I said, "Because my bank card doesn't work." And he turned around to me and he said, "But you can't." He said, "All the banking's down at the moment for a few hours." And I said, "Why have you locked your doors?" And he said, "For our own personal safety." Now that says everything. So if there is going to be a power outage, don't expect to access anyone from the banks. They're going to lock the doors for their own personal safety, because as you can imagine, there are going to be a few angry people around, and they're going to want access to their money. So anyway, couple of final tips about this. So if you're coming with kids, make sure you bring books, magazines, all offline stuff. Don't rely upon that iPad. Make sure you've got like packs of cards, all of that kind of normal stuff that we used to play with in the 1970s and 1980s when we had those miners' strike power cuts as well. Us oldies are quite used to it. You younger guys probably aren't. Anyway, let's pick the camera up. We're going to walk along the beach. I'm going to give you an update now about the UK Blue Badge parking permits. Okay, so in last week's Island update, and this is just for UK viewers here, you may remember that we had a question on the Mallorca Under the Sun Facebook group about the possibility of UK Blue Badge parking permit holders using disabled spaces over here in Mallorca. Now, the UK government has actually given you completely the wrong advice. Go back and check that video if you haven't done so already. They're literally lying to you. I'm just hoping actually they're going to update their website and give you the proper advice. They've referred you to some kind of transport body who've got absolutely no information whatsoever for you, and they've actually said as well on their website that it is at the discretion of the country that you're visiting as to whether you can use the UK Blue Badge parking permits. Now, I've kind of offloaded that onto just about everyone else. Anyway, so I decided to contact the town halls over here in Mallorca to ask them whether UK Blue Badge parking permit holders were going to receive a fine if they parked in a disabled spot while they're here on a holiday, if they displayed their parking badge. And I've had the following reply. They said, "Regarding your inquiry, we inform you that the parking permits for people with reduced mobility issued by the United Kingdom are not currently valid in Spain, as Spain is obviously part of the European Union. You can find information about the European parking permit for people with disabilities, which is valid in Spain, in the following link." And I'll drop that in the description text below. So basically, the long and short of it is that because of Brexit, because the UK decided to leave the European Union, those UK Blue Badge parking permits are not permitted for use over here in Spain. But the reality is very different actually, and I've heard from many viewers that when they've asked the police and when they've been out and about on the island, the police have actually said it's absolutely fine, go ahead and use them. I can't guarantee that this is going to be the case everywhere on the island. So you're going to find that some police are going to allow it, maybe other traffic wardens won't, and you will pick up a fine. So bring it with you anyway. Take your chance, maybe use it, maybe you'll be okay, or maybe you will pick up a fine. But this has got nothing to do with Spain. This is what was decided upon by the Brexit referendum. It was also something that wasn't negotiated by the Prime Minister at the time, nor has it been renegotiated by the current government too. So no one start blaming Spain and no one start blaming the EU about this. This has all been the result of Brexit, and I don't think any MP is going to help you either in the UK either. They're not going to care about what happens to you when you go on holiday. They'd rather you just holidayed in the UK. So that's basically it. Anyway, moving on, I'm just going to give you a very quick update regarding cruise ships coming into Palma this week. The worst days for visiting Palma are today, on Monday, that I'm filming it on the 5th of May. You're going to be missing out on on 13,000 cruise passengers pouring into Palma today. The rest of the week doesn't actually look so bad. It wasn't as bad as last week actually, it has to be said, but the next worst day is going to be on Saturday. We've got 9,000 cruise passengers coming in, and we've got the Ida Cosma cruise ship coming in, and they're carrying around 5,252 passengers to be exact if everyone turns up. So the rest of the week is looking okay. So if we do get a cloudy and rainy day during the week, then you're probably going to have a slightly better experience in Palma. But it's also going to mean as well that looking at the weather forecast for the week ahead, we are going to have a few forecast cloudy days. We may have some showers as well. I'm going to move on to that in just a second. Please go back and check my content about visiting Palma on a cloudy and a rainy day. Check out some suggested walks I've got as well, how to avoid the crowds. Also take a look at my walk back as well along the Paseo Maritimo to know what to expect in terms of traffic too, because regardless of the amount of cruise passengers coming in, it's going to mean we're going to get a lot of holiday makers in the resorts coming into Palma, and that's going to make the traffic pretty bad as well. It's going to make the buses busy too. So finally, one other piece of information I just want to bring you from over here in Alcudia as well, and that's of the Iron Man competition taking place on Saturday, May the 10th. Roads are going to be closed. We're going to see widespread road closures over here in Alcudia from around 9:30 to 2:30. Go ahead and check my Mallorca in May video to find a little bit more information about that. But I can see they've actually set up the tent here on the far side of Alcudia beach for that. Okay, so weather-wise, what can we expect this week? Well, the first thing I've got to say as well, we are now in fire season, which means that no fires can be lit between the 1st of May and the 15th of October outside. Also means you can't throw cigarettes out of your cars, and please don't do that. Please don't do it, because you could actually burn down a significant chunk of the island if you did. We haven't had considerable rain for quite a while, and you could also get fined if you're caught too. So what's the weather outlook for the week ahead for this week? Well, unfortunately we've got lovely blue skies over here in Alcudia today. It doesn't look like it's going to stay clear blue skies for the whole week. We've got a chance of showers on Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. We've got highs of 25 degrees Celsius, lows of 12, but it is warming up. Now don't worry too much if you're looking at that weather forecast on your iPhone or your mobile phone app. It's normally a little better than what the reality is. But if you're coming over here to Mallorca this week, having a safe trip and an amazing time too, and I shall be back here next week for my next island update. Thanks very much for watching everyone, and I'm going to drop a couple of videos appearing both here and here on YouTube as well to help you out with your holiday. Thanks for watching everyone. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Goodbye for now.